Well, Bob, as always, a pleasure to speak with you to look at the week ahead. Let's jump straight into it, shall we, and look at the main currencies, the US dollar, euro, and the pound. What should we be looking out for there?
For the US dollar, we're going to be looking at retail sales figures early in the week. These are going to be particularly important figures. We've seen consumer confidence improve. We've seen service sector activity jump. So an marked increase in retail sales figures will put further pressure on the Fed. Focus will then shift to Thursday. We've got the jobless claims figures and Philly Fed manufacturing numbers. Obviously, jobless claims will be key. A marked decline would be needed to support a dollar rally. For the euro, we've got second estimate GDP numbers for the Eurozone. That's followed up with finalized inflation figures for the Eurozone. These are July numbers. Don't expect too much influence from those numbers, while at the end of the week, wholesale inflation figures from Germany will draw some attention. For the pound, it is a busy week. We've got inflation and retail sales figures in the second half of the week. Employment numbers in the early part of the week will be particularly important as well. Claimant counts and unemployment rate figures will be the key stats.
Moving across to the commodity currencies, Bob, are we expecting a busy week?
For the loonie, there are some important stats to consider in the week ahead. We've got inflation figures, ADP employment change figures, and retail sales figures for the markets to consider. Last week was pretty quiet on the economic data front, so these stats will provide the loonie with direction. For the Aussie dollar, all important employment figures due out. Main event, however, will be the RBA monetary policy meeting minutes. Is there any chatter that could give the Aussie dollar a boost? For the Kiwi dollar, no stats to consider in the week ahead. That leaves the RBNZ monetary policy decision on Wednesday as the main event.
And now moving over to the Asian giants, Bob, what should we expect to see from Japan and China?
For the Japanese yen, we've got second quarter GDP numbers due out, trade data and inflation figures for the markets to consider. Obviously, the GDP numbers will draw plenty of attention, as will the trade data. We're not expecting too much influence from inflation figures. For the Chinese yuan, we have a busy start to the week. We've got industrial production, fixed asset investments, retail sales, and unemployment figures to consider. And then the second half of the week, it's the PBOC in action, though the market's expecting the PBOC to leave loan prime rates unchanged.
As always, we like to finish with geopolitics. Bob, what should we expect to see there? Anything new on the horizon, or is it same old, same old?
On the geopolitical risk front, nothing to report. Obviously, continue monitoring US-China, US-Russia relations, and obviously what's going on in the Middle East, with Iran always there to ruffle the feathers. So those will continue to be the areas of focus. Away from geopolitics, obviously COVID-19 remains a factor for the markets, and any central bank chatter of economic recoveries unraveling would obviously test market risk sentiment.
Well, Bob, thank you so much. As always, a massive pleasure to speak with you, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon indeed. Take care of yourself. And thank you everyone for watching. That's all for this edition of The Week Ahead. Don't forget to head over to our Dukascopy TV social media platforms to keep up to date with everything else affecting the markets. Until next time, goodbye.